Snoonigs. Welcome to your neighborhood love dealer. I'm live a second time today. How did you get so lucky? I don't know. We're just here, okay? Take the present as a gift. So, this is what I hopped on about. I wanted to hop on about the ma versus motherhood. You know, that hidden element that a lot of people are not talking to you about because they don't know how to feel about it, right? This is the Werther's original. This is the caramel that's stuffed with the candy apple stuff in it. Oh, it's amazing. It's way better than the lollipops that take your damn near take your teeth out, okay? Better. But this is like stopping me from from talking, but it's so good. For later, right? Remember when your auntie or somebody used to do this in church? They would save a candy for later and they would be so dainty about it. They twist it back up like this, like so. And you see them like tuck it somewhere, right? Bring back the ultra feminine female, right? So let's talk about this because I'm going to eat my candy at the end of this talk because I just wanted to talk. Okay, so ma versus motherhood, right? So a lot of times as we grew up, young girls, feminines alike, holla holler, for the divine feminine. Some of us have been divine feminine since the cradle, since the ladle, since we came out of the womb. Some of us were helpful, some of us were nurturing, and a lot of us started out that way, helpful and nurturing and everything above until something happened, right? And then some revamped themselves. Some people remained feminine no matter what because they just like felt that way. That was just their natural calling and their natural frequency. So they never really abandoned it. They just had to live life. They had to adjust. And there were some that came across different situations in life that changed their mothering instinct, their matriarch instinct, the maternal part of them, I should say, the nourishing part. Because let's just keep it 100. Everybody maternal doesn't exactly have kids. And everybody that looks maternal shouldn't have kids, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is what I came up with the ma versus motherhood. A lot of times when you hear the ma, she accepts the fact that you may or may not graduate. She accepts the facts that you pull little girls' hair in school instead of telling them that you like them. She accepts the fact that she might have to put her house up if you get locked up. She accepts the fact that you might get girls pregnant, and she kind of takes your side. However, motherhood is different. Motherhood is more nurturing. Motherhood is got a lot to do with actually being accountable. And a lot of things that they don't tell you about motherhood is motherhood will get you hated by people who don't want to be mothers. Motherhood will get you hated by people who don't want to be fathers. Motherhood will get you hated not only by your kids, motherhood will get you hated by other people's kids. Let me explain. A lot of times you thinking that that girl doesn't like you because of the way you look. It might be a fact, but sometimes that girl don't like you because the way you show up as a woman. Doesn't like you because you have maternal instincts. Doesn't like the way you're able to bounce back from any attack. That's the maternal part in you. You're able to nourish yourself, and God forbid they're able to witness you nourish somebody else and not lose yourself. You have become enemy number one. And let's talk about how the men see motherhood. See, when he first met you and he saw that you had a capacity to nurture, that was like, yeah, I like that. That girl can like be nice. She could be feminine. And then when he found out you could be a mother, that was a plus because he's like, that means she could cook, like she could have snacks. She might be forgiving a thing or two because when you have a kid, you have to be able to forgive some things. I'm cooking. Let me cook. And then not only can you not, you could be forgiving and maternal without the kids. When you got kids, you show how you could do things. You could sew, you could cook, you could do hair and things of that nature. And for a minute, he might like that if he's the type of guy that can appreciate a woman in her wholeness. But there's that other thing that happens when you stop just being ma and you become motherhood. Not only are you nurturing, not only are you accountable, but you're nurturing to other people and you're accountable. And that also could be a catch 22 for the man in your life, because not only did he see you as maternal, but he wanted you to be maternal to him. And then he sees your kids and he sees you being maternal to your kids, but now he wants you to be maternal to him, although you're not his mother. You see where that thing started to creep in? So now he's trying to get you to mother him and be nurturing to him. And guess what? He still remembers that you have like a part down there. So now he wants access to all three of those things from you. And honestly, he should have got all of his mothering back there. And he should just want you to be his love partner. But the thing about it is, he remembers how much mothering he didn't get. And he remembers how she functioned in a relationship. So now you got to worry about him bringing up the past and his past experience into y'all experience. Not only are you trying to have your own experience with this guy, but now he's bringing his experience from his mom and his sisters and his teachers and all the girls that he's ever met in his life into you. So you go from being ma to hated in motherhood. And the women do it too, especially if you were nicer than their mom. See, they like it at first because you could share and you could give out tips. But then they remember that they didn't have that at home. And then they don't like you because why are you better than my mom? And why could my mom love me like you love me? So then you become an enemy because of that. You have to be careful with mothering. Mothering can get you hated. It can get you hated way more than being beautiful. It can get you hated way more than being like an ignorant wench. Mothering will get you hated because you're a pushover. You're supposed to forgive the fact that I don't understand mothering. You're supposed to forgive that I don't understand nurturing. You're supposed to forgive me like you forgave your kids, even though I didn't come out of you. Interesting enough, right? So, ma versus motherhood. It's interesting. And God forbid you go revert back to childhood when a trauma comes, because when the police are coming, the first thing you hear the criminals say, call my mother, call my mother, ma. All while the same woman that they push to the wayside because she's so forgiving, she's not going to worry about the fact that I pushed her to the side for all my friends. She's not going to worry about I pushed her to the side for my girlfriend. Even though boundaries, healthy boundaries need to be set between mom and girlfriend. But if you had a good mom, she set those boundaries already. Unfortunately, because you had a good mom, now you've got friends who didn't have a good mom, and they're in constant comparison with you. So they need to tell you you're a mama's boy, and they need to treat you a certain way so that you don't see that they're jealous that their mother doesn't show up like yours. And you don't see that their mama's never gotten up to cook them breakfast. So your mom must be a pick-me. Your mom must be weak. She cleans up and she keeps a nice house. No, we've got to make this kid feel like he's weird. Let's tell him he comes from the county. Let's call him a bammer because he comes from a normal household. And your child, because he wants acceptance from his friends, will toss your motherhood to the side and you'll become Ma. Isn't it weird how the most coveted thing in this world, a nurturing maternal figure, can be hated for the exact same love that she puts out? She was a pushover for your dad. Of course, if she would have never let your dad do the things he did, she wouldn't be a weak morsel. And your father wouldn't seem so strong to you, would he? But your mom never told you how she had to help your dad fill out job applications. She never told you that your father didn't have the money to pay the rent a lot of times. She also never focused on the fact that your dad only compensated taking care of you by finding another mother to abuse. You see, mom culture, I should say ma culture, opposed to motherhood, it's different. A lot of times I see mas get put on pedestals that they haven't earned, but they've taken, they bullied, they've quarreled, they made a bunch of noise to get the pedestal, but they never performed, they never enacted. Well, let's talk about the mother who thought she had motherhood down. And let's not say some women are great mothers, but when they feel as though there's another mother entering the realm and they feel as though she makes it look a little easier or she makes it look a little better, not even taking into context the things that this mother had to go through to even get to this part, to even appear this way. They just assume and they put in narratives and they think that you're doing this and you're doing that just to show up as a mother. What if you're just being a mother? What if you're not breaking any laws? What if you're not, doing things of a shady nature? What if you're just actually showing up? What if right before you pass out, showing up as a mother, you stop, you straighten yourself at the door, you throw in a little lip gloss, and you happen to look fresh when you enter the threshold? There are women that have done it, have gone through their own journeys, and kind of went through almost the same thing as you. But the fact that you show up the way you do in motherhood, it makes them feel not so great. They don't like how your exhaustion looks compared to their exhaustion. They don't like the choices you made in comparison to their choices, even though they don't know what choices you made. They just come up with things because how dare you show up in motherhood different than me? I think some of those are the worst because you pushed just like I did, or you got on the table and had that C-section. You navigated misogyny and misandry the same way. Even though you didn't take to the misandry, you gravitated to the misogyny. We don't understand that. Either way, you hate motherhood as well. Because if it isn't you, then it shouldn't be nobody. But how do you build a village of mothers if you're intimidated by other mothers mothering? You got to poke holes in someone else's parenting because you weren't perfect at yours. I remember when I went to my son's military graduation and all of the parents were proud. I saw mothers and grandmothers there. And for the most part, mothers and grandmothers, they were like doing their thing. The mother knew and the grandmother, they all had their roles and they did the things. Go on and follow, Roman. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I got to be careful with you. I got to be careful with who I allow in here because we don't know who these things around here. So, yeah. So in motherhood, you gotta see that some mothers, some grandmothers are looking to live vicariously through their daughters. And unfortunately, for some of the daughters, you have to be careful of your mother looking down and seeing where you saw her mistakes and you were careful about not making those. Yep. Sometimes it could be your own parent that hates how you show up in motherhood or parenting because they feel as though they lack somewhere where you picked up everything and decided this isn't what you wanted to do. They'll fight and hate you for that too. You have to understand, ma versus motherhood is universal. And it's a sad pity that sometimes the ma gets more reward than the mother. I guess it's because she given as much trauma as the father did. Motherhood, it's a very delicate balance. When you come out on the other side of motherhood and you've done all you can do, pat yourself on the back and move forward. Because the ma culture is dangerous. The ma culture has turned out a lot of narcissists, a lot of dark triad personalities. And it's done so on both sides of the fence, both men and women. They need the feminine prototype back. They need a pure feminine prototype. The same way women need a prototype of a man again. We need good examples. But this was me talking about ma versus motherhood. Some people only wanted to be called mom. They only dreamed of having that title. They only dreamed of appearing that way. They never planned on being mothers, or they started out being mothers, but then the road got twisted along the way and they became friends. They became everything but a mother. And you'll be hated for staying on course as a mother. You'll be hated by lovers. You'll be hated by friends. You'll be hated by your kids' friends. You'll be sometimes hated by your kid. You'll be hated by siblings and cousins alike. You'll be hated by parents and grandparents. You'll be hated by all those people who did not appreciate the maternal motherhood in you. Sure, you can be an auntie with no kids. But if you were able to suffer better, if you were able to bounce back better, if you were able to share better, if you were able to cope better than anyone, you'll be hated for that part of you. So that's the ma culture versus motherhood. And it's one that should go on the walk of Hollywood. This thing here, motherhood is not for the faint of heart because as Nix had 5 things to take care of. 5 things. 5 things. That's a lot. Considering if you've ever read the story, the background of the Nix and how she has to nurture through chaos, born in chaos, born through fire, but she still has to nurture. So what? She doesn't get to brush her hair all the time. She might break a nail, but she's able to show up 100%. And yeah, people will hate her for that. But it's a job that has to be done. Sometimes it's not lonely at the top. It gets lonely being beside people. Have a good one. Till the next time, don't send for me because somebody's spinning you.